Dolce and Gabbana, the one. Great cologne. Have you smelled it? I was in Ulta the other day actually buying this bomb lipstick, and some dude walked by me and I'm like, "What are you wearing?" He was like, "Me?" I'm like, "Yeah, what is that?" He's like, "Oh, it was Dolce and Gabbana, the one. I heard Drake likes it." And I'm like, "Well, Drake's obviously on something. You smell great." I think I startled him a little bit, but it does smell awesome. You know, it doesn't smell awesome. Desperation. Desperation. Ugh. It's an ugly perfume. It's a stinky perfume. And unfortunately, in a business like sales, it can be easy to fall prey to the desperate mindset. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today and kind of help you understand what happens when you come off desperate, why people come off desperate, because it really hurts your sales game and it makes for a very unpleasant sales experience as a salesperson and for the customer. So let's dive in here. So desperation, how does it happen? A lot of times, because sales is a typically commission-only job, you put a lot of pressure on yourself about making those sales, right? Because if you don't make, like, each sale is so important to you because this is the moment when you're there, like, trying to get the appointment or trying to get the contract signed or whatever. This is the moment that if you get it signed, $1,500 is in your pocket. But if you don't, you're flushing $1,500 down the toilet, right? So that can put a lot of pressure on you. And if you're thinking about that too much, you're going to be like the way that you're coming off is going to be desperate. It's going to be needy. And that really translates to customers. Like the pressure you put on yourself gets transferred to the customer and it just doesn't feel good. And so this can get you in a really bad loop, especially when you get into a funk because you start looping on this and you're desperate. And because things aren't working out, because you're acting desperate, you feel more desperate and then you behave more desperately. And then you're like, what is going on? Have I forgotten how to sell? So let's talk about the different ways that you can come off desperate. And I've actually made some notes here. So there's a couple different ways. One of them is you can come off too nice, right? When you're trying to be too nice because you are trying to be too much of a people pleaser, right? Like you can go overboard with that. It's like you're being too sweet, you're being too kind, you're talking to the kids at the house too much, you're acting too into the dog, you're complimenting the red wall that they've had since 2002 too much in their kitchen. And it comes off like disingenuine, right? Like it doesn't come off like it's very authentic. And so people are just like kind of put off by that. It's like, why are you acting so nice? Because it's acting, right? The next way is you could be too polite. Kind of the same thing, but too many like, oh, yes, ma'am. No, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. Blah, 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 blah. Stop it. You're being too nice. You're being too polite. People are just like, could you swear at me once or something? You know, that would be like making sweet, sweet love every single time you have sex with your partner. Sometimes you got to yank some hair. I know I just invited some perverted comments, but you guys are doing that anyway on videos that have nothing to do with that. So let's just roll with it. Okay. The next thing could be too eager. That's when you're like a yes man, right? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yo, yeah, we could do that. Yes. Yeah. I'm sure that we could figure something like that out. Too many yeses. Again, this is like people pleasing again. These all kind of snowball into each other, right? The next thing is too pathetic. Okay. That can really translate. I have literally heard salesmen beg, like, Mrs. Jones, like, please give me a chance with this. Like, I'm trying to take care of my family and like, blah, 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 blah. Don't pull the pity card. Like, that doesn't work. This is not a charity. This is a sales game. Okay. So you don't want to come off too pathetic either. And then the last one that I wrote down is just too available. Okay. And this is, again, kind of like the yes man, but it just seems like, oh yeah, anything you need, anytime you need it, I'm there. Which on one hand can come off like a great customer service experience. And once you've established a good relationship with the customer, of course, being able to be that way is great. But being too available in the beginning of the sales process where you guys are very new to each other still is a detriment to you. Okay. For example, let's say that you're available anytime and you're asking for the appointment. And you're like, I literally anytime. And they're like, this time you're like, yeah, I have all the time in the world. What you're communicating is I'm not very busy because I'm probably not that good at what I do. because people who are really, really good at what they do are very busy. Okay, so too nice, too polite, too eager, too pathetic, too available, desperate. Okay, we got to cut that out. Why does it happen? Well, it happens because you're putting pressure on yourself. And then because you're putting pressure on yourself, you're losing that confidence that you should be exuding as a salesperson, right? And so think about it like, I remember when I was doing Cutco sales, they were talking about like, the harder you try to hold on to something or the harder you try to control your outcome, it's like, imagine holding a bar of soap, okay? If you have a slippery bar of soap in prison, I mean, in the shower, and you're just, you don't want to drop it, so you're squeezing the shit out of it, right? Trying to hold on to it for dear life, boop, pops out of your hand, okay? If you want to hold on to that bar of soap and control the bar of soap, you don't do it by brute force, okay? You don't do it by desperately clinging onto the bar of soap. You gently hold it like you're cradling eggs. I know you thought what I was going to say. I thought about saying it, but we're really just taking it in a weird direction with this video here. Where is my mind? Anyways, it's fine. Okay, so think about the bar of soap. If you want to control the bar of soap, you have to be gentle with it, okay? Be relaxed. The moment you get desperate and clingy, boop, it pops out of your hand, okay? Think about, I heard something one time that said, the person who cares the least has the most power. If you're the person that cares the least, you actually have the upper hand in the situation because you're not so desperate, right? So, another note that I had written down when I was thinking about this topic is I was thinking about like dating. Like think about if you've ever had a very, very desperate or needy boyfriend or girlfriend and they just are like so clingy and like checking in too much and too nice and too sweet and you're just like, ugh, could you just, it's too sickly, right? Like it doesn't feel good. It's like the person's leaning in so far that you have to lean away. And the same thing happens in sales. A confident person stands up straight, right? They are centered, everything, it feels good. You are a strong pillar, okay, strong like oak tree. But somebody who's desperate is leaning, they're leaning in, they're clinging, they're crowding the person out. And so you can really think of this physically or metaphorically, like literally or metaphorically. You do the same thing in sales, okay? So where should you really be coming from? What's the mindset that you should have? And the mindset that you should have as a salesperson is like, Mrs. Jones, I'm good. Like, I don't need you to let me on your roof, just like so we're clear. I don't need to get on your roof, but if you let me up there, and you don't need to sign a contract with me. But if you do, I promise I can get you a new roof for virtually, pennies on the dollar. I can, but it's up to you, like no worries, because if you don't say yes, like the next person will. Okay. And when you're like that, people don't feel like you're pressing into them so hard and you're not so desperate and you're not so needy. And it gives you breathing space to just be like, saw dude. So like, can I help you with your roof? And when you come off that way, it just exudes confidence. You're not needy. You're going to get a lot better results. And guys, you need to help yourself like get out of the cycle, especially if you're in a funk right now. If you're a salesperson that's in a funk, and trust me, we've all been there. I remember going through, both in Cutco and in my roof selling days, like periods of time where I literally thought I forgot how to sell. I was like, I forgot how to do this. Like I had a bunch of just goose eggs, one after another, no sale, cancellations, people no-showing me. And I'm like, what in the actual beep is going on here? What is happening? And I had to kind of reset, and I realized that everybody gets in a funk sometimes. It happens. But when you get into that funk, the worst part is we start to get more desperate, okay? We start to put a lot more pressure on ourselves with every single thing that doesn't seem to go our way. We're trying harder and harder and harder, when really what we need to do is relax, step back, take a breath. Remember that this is supposed to be fun and easy. And if you go out and just like, it's all good, I'm going to get mine, everything's fine, people love me, life is fun and easy. I am the recipient of an avalanche of abundance that the universe is going to provide to me. Everything's chill. Things just kind of start to go your way. So if you need to hit the reset button here, with yourself and you relate to this and you're like, you know what, I probably am. I am feeling desperate. Even if you don't think you're coming off desperate, I promise you probably are. Hit the reset button. Get into a mindset that I am always taken care of. Everything goes my way. I am a money magnet. And then you just show up, you relax, you act like yourself, things will start to go your way. So, hope that helped. Sorry, I'm feeling a little raunchy here today with my comments. You know, I like to keep it interesting for you folks. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel here. You can check out www.roofsalesmastery.com. And guys, another thing is you might be feeling desperate, and shameless sales plug here, but you might be feeling desperate because the approaches that you're using at the door, on the sales presentation, whatever, are not good. And so you're going out there using shit that doesn't work. And then you're like, trying. Well, maybe if I'm nicer, maybe if I beg more, and maybe if I... No, you just need better sales approaches. So cut that problem out by making sure you actually have like effective door pitches, an effective closing presentation. Okay, you know how to handle objections without like being desperate. All right. And guys, also business owners, where desperation falls into the equation for you is hiring. Okay, think about when you're trying to hire people and you're desperate for salesmen and you're trying to sell this job to these guys, these candidates, because you really want them to join your team and sell for you. That can come off desperate. So if you guys need help just making sure that you can feel confident, you are using things that work, you're going to get the results that you're after by just showing up, I can help you with that. Okay, check out the website. I've got a bunch of different programs. I'm sure you've seen most of them by now. Buy one. They work. So, guys, it's been a pleasure. I will chit chat with you later. Have a wonderful day. Don't be desperate. Love you. Bye.